Hello guys, so this video is to review ratios and proportions. So what is a ratio? Well, a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. And when we're talking about where these numbers come from, they're going to be comparisons of side lengths. So for us, they're going to be side lengths of triangles, of pentagons, of really any shape. So we're comparing two side lengths, and the way that we compare them is we compare the image to the one that we start with, the pre-image. So it's always like the end to the original, the new one to the original. Okay, the new one. Now, what happens when we're creating more than one ratio? So if we can create lots of these comparisons, well, what do we notice happening? So I'm going to use an example to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. Let's have two different triangles, and I'm going to write the ratios for all of these. Now let's say our first triangle has side lengths of 2, 4, and 6, and then our next triangle has side lengths of 1, 2, and 3. Now, I can write ratios for sides that correspond with each other. So sides that correspond mean they're in the same spot, in the same position. So this side of 2 and this side of 1 are in the same position. I can write them in a ratio. So let's say this is the pre-image and this is the image. So if I wanted to write the ratios for these, one of my ratios could be one that compares 1 to 2, image to pre-image. Now I can also write ratios for the other remaining sides. So this side of 2 corresponds with this side of 4. So when I write them as a ratio, image to pre-image, I end up with this ratio. Let's do it for the remaining side. 3 and 6, image to pre-image. Now what do we notice about all of these things? Well, we can say that this fraction of 1/2 is a reduced form of 2 divided by 4. If I do 2 divided by 4, I end up with 0.5. Okay, so these fractions, these ratios are equal. The same thing happens when I do 3 divided by 6. All of these ratios are equal. So we've got a new vocab word that I'd like for you to write down. A proportion. Now, a proportion is when ratios are equal. Proportions are when ratios are equal. Now, it's not always easy to see that 1 divided by 2 is the same as 2 divided by 4 and 3 divided by 6 unless we have a calculator. So I want to show you another method that you can use to show that things are proportional. So I'm going to flip my page over. Let's check. So my first example is going to be, is 3 divided by 11 proportional with 6 divided by 46? Now these are large numbers, okay? And I could do some division to see if they reduce to the same. But I can also set it up as if we were going to solve a proportion. We practiced solving back when we were still at school. So let's put these ratios side by side. And let's check, are they equal? Now when I solve a proportion, I use this solving method called cross multiplying. I'm going to multiply the bottom of one fraction with the numerator of another. So 6 times 11. Now what makes a cross is I'm going to do the same thing, top of one fraction with the bottom of the other, and I'm going to multiply these. 3 times 46. Now, this will be proportional if these two are equal. So are they equal? That's the question. Well, and excuse my silly calculator, I don't have my nice one at home. 6 times 11 is 66. Well, what about 3 times 46? 3 times 46 is 138. Are these numbers equal? No. So these two fractions are not proportional. So let's look at a case where maybe it does work out the way we want it to. So here's my next example. Is 3 over 12. I'm sorry, not is. Are 3 over 12 and 4 over 16 proportional? So we can do the same setup with this one. If they were proportional, these fractions, these ratios, would be equal. And the way we solve a proportion is through cross multiplying. So on one side, I'm going to multiply 3 times 16. And on the other side, I'm going to multiply 4 with 12. So we've got to get a calculator back out. Got a calculator out. 3 times 16 is 48. All right. 4 times 12. Well, also 48. These are proportional, right? If they equal the same number, yes, they are proportional. If they do not equal the same number, they are not.